Hello everybody, JGC Anime here, and today we are going to be reviewing Haiyore Nyaruko-san, or Nyaruko Crawling with Love. I probably said some of that wrong, but we're just gonna roll with it. This is just a review for season 1 though, I should probably clarify. There are like the 3 seasons of the show. We're reviewing season 1 today, so let's just jump right into it. Hey, this is JGC Anime in Post. Just wanted to quickly fix that. It turns out there's actually only 2 seasons. I thought a special OVA was actually a 3rd season, but it turns out it's just a single episode OVA, so yeah, it's just 2 seasons, and so if I say 3 seasons throughout this video, I apologize, but it turns out it's just 2 seasons. So, what is the story of this series? Well, for a basic description, the story follows our main character, Mahiro, who ends up getting chased by this demon thing, and ends up getting saved by this girl called Nyaruko, who took up the job of protecting him since there's some mysterious thing going on behind the scenes that people are trying to chase him for, and she's there to protect him. However, she's not only there to protect him, but to also like indulge in Earth's entertainment, and admits that she's kind of fallen in love at first sight. Like she's fallen in love with Mahiro at first sight, and kind of wants to get in his pants. And the story just kind of escalates from there, with a bunch of new characters being added in, with a bunch of wacky adventures that usually end in some joke. And yeah, that's a basic summary. That's not that great, but we're gonna roll with it. So yeah, so spoiler-free thoughts. I actually had a pretty good time with this series. I wouldn't say it's like the best thing ever, but considering I haven't watched it, I think I watched season 1 a long time ago. I think it was back when I first started watching anime, I watched this series, and I don't remember almost anything. And after having sat down and watched this again, I did remember a few bits and pieces, and overall, I had a pretty solid time. Not every single storyline was that great to me, but I did enjoy most of them, and even some storylines I didn't like as much originally, I actually found myself really enjoying this time around, and I think all the characters are really fun. I find the opening theme is phenomenal. I don't know why, it always gets me excited for every new episode because it's just such a bop. And the characters are really fun too. This is definitely a comedy over everything else, even the action and the kind of romance in there. It's mainly based around the comedy, and I really like that because the comedy in the series is decently good. It's not like massively overly funny, like I just cannot stop laughing type of funny, like with The Eminence in Shadow or Uncle from Another World, but it's still decently funny. I do get some good chuckles. One of my favorite jokes has got to be, without spoiling too much except this one joke, there's this running joke in the series where Mahiro is constantly getting pestered by Nyaruko as well as the other people that come into his life. And so, to get them to shut up for once, he threatens them with a fork, as his most powerful weapon is a fork. And this is like this thing that I kind of wish they used more in the series, because it is such a funny little bit with the fact of how powerful the fork is. Like there's this one scene where he actually pins one of the characters up to a wall, or more like a table, with forks, and just to keep them from like crawling up too close to him. It's really funny. I could talk about that maybe in the spoiler section if I remember, but it's such a funny joke that runs throughout the whole series, even though I wish it was there more. It was only like there like 4 or 5 times. Overall, that was very funny, and there are some decent good jokes in here, but I feel like the fork joke is definitely one of the strongest parts, which is why I wish there was more of it. But yeah, overall, most of the characters are really enjoyable. I don't like Nyaruko that much. I don't hate her, but out of all the characters in the main cast, she is one of my least favorites. Like everyone else, like the character Hatsuta, I don't know how you pronounce it, Chuthiko, I'm sorry if I probably mispronounced that, but they're all really fun. Even some of the later characters introduced are really fun. Like Luhi and the already kind of his friend, like she's already friends with Mahiro, Kure, where they're all fun. I really enjoy them. But out of everyone, Nyaruko is one of the most like frustrating characters in the series to me, and I wish that she wasn't as annoying, because there are some scenes where I actually genuinely liked her character. Like when she got serious and just talked with Mahiro normally, without her goofiness, I actually really liked her character. But for the most part, she kind of annoyed me, and any scenes where she kind of like gets what's coming to her, I find myself quite enjoying them. And it was rather satisfying. But I can't really go into anything without spoiling, so we're just going to enter the spoiler section of this review. Here is a timestamp to when the spoilers will end. If you have seen this season of the series, I'd recommend sticking around to hear my thoughts, but if you haven't, I'd recommend skipping to the end so you don't get any spoilers. But again, if you have seen it, I'd recommend sticking around. So yeah, I'm going to count up to 5, and we're going to enter the spoiler section. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so in terms of spoilers for the series, I mentioned before that there was the funny joke with the table. It's basically this thing where Nyaruko, in her lust for Mahiro, tries sneaking into a bedroom at a motel they were staying at and tried to, bang him that night, but he ends up using the forks to stick her into it, using also a cloth to stick her to a table so that way he could get a good night's rest. It was really funny. And I just really enjoyed the fork bit, and I hope we see more of that in the future seasons that I haven't actually seen yet. And I honestly thought it was really funny. But going back to what I was saying before about how some storylines didn't work, there were some I wasn't a big fan of, but I didn't mind as much this time around. One being when Ruhi ends up inviting Mahiro's mom, Yoriko, to come check out a new game console that her group was working on. And while it was not that great of a storyline in my opinion, it was still actually a lot better than I remember. It was very enjoyable, and while the one frustrating thing about the series is that it always ends with a stupid joke, it's still very fun. That's the only big gripe I do have with the series is that every single thing always ends in a joke. Even if a scene is super serious and super dramatic, it always ends with a freaking joke. Which, again, isn't a huge complaint, but I do wish sometimes the series could take itself a bit more seriously, as because everything's a joke, it's hard to really feel any character emotions. That's why even when Nyaruko was acting serious, I found it hard to believe she was actually acting serious, because I was expecting some kind of joke to hit at the end. So when the joke didn't hit, I was like, oh, there wasn't a joke? Huh. Well, that makes this moment a lot better, because just sometimes it doesn't know when to stop, so when a serious scene actually does come up, I tend to not expect it. But overall, I do enjoy most of the characters in this series. Like the character I mentioned before, Shuriko, I'll just call her the red-haired girl, I guess. I actually really like her character. And her crazy, similar to Nyaruko, who obsesses over Mahiro, she obsesses over Nyaruko and is constantly trying to get together with Nyaruko. And it's just such a funny bit where, I know it sounds like a contradiction for one character to be over the other, but to me it feels more like giving Nyaruko a taste of her own medicine, and that's why I really like it. It gets her a bit of a perspective that she herself doesn't seem to realize, but it adds a bit more of a punishment, I guess you could say, to how kind of overly touchy-feely she is trying to be around Mahiro, who's just trying to live his best life. He's trying to live a nice life, but all these people in his life, well, he doesn't hate them, does struggle to be able to live with them easily. Which, I understand that sometimes he can be a bit blunt, but sometimes he's also in the right. There's this scene where Nyaruko asks him if he likes her, and he says, "No, I don't like you," because he's always annoyed by how she treats him. And in my eyes, he was completely in the right. He was not wrong in any regard. She didn't really do much except pester him about a lot of stuff, and he felt entirely in the right. So the fact that they tried to use that to build up a bit of a romantic moment between the two was a bit kind of annoying to me, but overall it still resulted in a pretty nice scene. So I'm not super bothered by it. I just find it a little bit weird that it's treated kind of like he was in the wrong. But yeah, overall, the only other storyline I could think of that I had any massive problems with, which wasn't even really massive, was more uncomfortable than anything else, for me at least, is this special 2-part body swap story, where Nyaruko and Mahiro end up switching bodies for a bit. Where when I watched things through Mahiro's perspective as Nyaruko, it was really funny, but when I watched Nyaruko act as Mahiro, it was kind of annoying. Especially because they were forced to go to school that day with their body swapped, she literally decides to take advantage of this opportunity and go up in front of the class and use his body to confess her feelings towards her. She tries to make him confess in a way by controlling his body. I thought it was kind of effed up. It was definitely wrong in my eyes, and that definitely cemented as one why I didn't like her character that much. But overall, I wish she wouldn't be so hardcore about things. But again, she's just a fine character. I wish she wasn't the way she was at times, but she's not a terrible character. I don't hate her. Overall, though, I definitely feel like the body swap storyline wasn't that great, and that's just because of the fact that I'm just stating now, I'm not really into body swaps. I don't think they're that appealing. I don't think they're fun, and that's why I don't like a lot of things. Like, if you've seen the movie Soul, or I think it was just Soul, from Pixar, because most of that movie was a body swap comedy. I'm sorry if that is a spoiler, I'm sorry, but I didn't like it, so I ended up skipping that entire bit, which skipped like a solid hour of the movie or so, because I just didn't like it, and thus I ended up not enjoying the movie that much, because I just don't like body swaps. I find them to be not very fun, at least in my opinion. That's why I was glad the storyline was over so fast and we could move on to the next thing, because, well, it just wasn't that fun to me. Although the body swap was a bit better here because, well, there wasn't any massive personality change from Mahiro even after the body swap, where he just kind of played it off as he wanted, and it just felt right. It didn't feel like it was too overly paced or too drawn out. It just felt like it was decently paced. And it even gave us a bit of a hint that the character Kure is actually, maybe, just maybe, into Mahiro, along with Hasta, who, you know, it's a trap with Hasta and Nyaruko. And it teases the idea of a harem-esque storyline, which I'm 100% down for. I like harems, not like massively, but I enjoy them. And yeah, overall, I think the series was a pretty solid experience, and I actually enjoyed the storylines. Even the last one, which kind of felt meh, which some of them did, like 3 of them, I guess you could actually say, with the last storyline where Mahiro wishes that his life was different, where he got to relax more, and, you know, another character that came in called Gudatan tried granting that wish of his, but he ended up regretting it and wanting to go back to his old life. And then it leads towards this villain who just wants to play adult games and thought Mahiro would guide him to them, which was stupid. In fact, when I saw that happen, I thought, wow, I really should have seen this coming. Why did I not see this coming? It was so obvious. But I mean, like, in terms of like comedy, like they always have to end every big massive villain on a joke. I think during the body swap storyline, the reason the villain was coming after them was because it wanted to remove adult content in the Earth, and like in total, because of the kids' safety protocol, and Earth has too much erotic stuff on it. It was just dumb, but fun. It's again, I do wish sometimes the stories would be a bit more dramatic, but yeah, you take what you can get. So yeah. Overall, though, not a bad series, but could have been better. Still enjoyed it overall, though. Definitely would recommend for somebody who just enjoys a fun little comedy to pass the time. So, yeah. We're at the conclusion of this video, and what are my final thoughts? It was decent. It was a fun time. I wouldn't say it's the worst thing ever. In fact, I'd put it pretty solid up there. I found it more enjoyable than some of the other shows I've seen recently, and overall, I think I had a pretty good time. Were there some issues here and there? Yes. But overall, I still thought it was a very fun experience, and that's why I would give this series a 7 out of 10. Very fun, and I'll probably be checking out the future seasons at some point. Don't know when, but I will probably be checking them out at some point. And yeah, thank you all for watching. If you're new to the JGC Anime channel, don't forget to subscribe. I always look for new anime fans to the channel, and I will see you all around. Peace!